Hello, dear friends. The subject of weather manipulation has always been taboo for journalists because it has never existed according to the authorities, and those who dared to talk about it were taken for madmen. Now, however, it's coming to light little by little like everything else. Where are those who called us crazy hiding now? Opinion article. Cloud seeding. Experiments to manipulate the weather. This is related to the theory of chemtrails. Spain, Argentina, Chile and Venezuela seed clouds. Silver iodide may cause harms to humans. Spain could become a producer of rare earths. Europe gets the right to repair household appliances. Cyberwar is imminent and will affect citizens. Japan creates Ministry of Loneliness to prevent suicides. Why are we obsessed with the music of our youth? Don Carlos de Marbella affirms that the quantum system is already active. Sound of freedom to be spread through seekers of truth. Let's start. Between 1979 and 1981, the first attempt to increase rainfall took place in Spain throughout the Rainfall Enhancement Project, coordinated by the World Meteorological Organization. But according to Ana Carrasco González, the rainfall was never increased throughout cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is a form of weather manipulation. It's the attempt to change the amount of or type of precipitation falling from clouds by dispersing substances in the air that serve as cloud condensation nuclei or ice nuclei, which alter processes within the microscopics of clouds. The intention is always to increase rain or snow precipitation, but hail and fog suppression are also widely practiced at airports. The most common substances used for cloud seeding are silver iodide and dry ice, which is frozen carbon dioxide. The expansion of liquid propane into gas has also been used and can produce ice crystals and warmer temperatures than silver iodide. The use of hygroscopic materials such as salt is increasing in popularity due to some promising research results. But salt is not good for the camps in general, for the fields. Silver iodide can cause temporary disability or possible residual damage to humans and mammals with intense or continuous exposure. There have been several detailed ecological studies that showed an impact on the environment and on the health. Experiments in Spain. In 1979, in Valladolid, different techniques were developed to observe the local clouds, and they did not meet any possible conditions for cloud seeding experiments. The project came to a standstill, says José Luis Sánchez, professor of applied physics at the University of León and researcher of these experiments. Where there has been success is in anti-hail control, which has been applied in several areas of Spain: Valencia, Castilla-La Mancha, Madrid, Aragón, La Rioja and Catalonia, practically continuously since 1979. The current anti-hail control in Spain gives me the impression that it is done in a particular way, except for the community of Madrid and Aragon, says Fernando Peliguero, managing director of the Anti-Hail Consortium of Aragon. Its main objective is to prevent losses in agriculture as a result of hail. We, in quotes, we started in the 70s doing cloud seeding with the teams. Peliguero reports on the beginnings of the Aragon Consortium. And he continues, the fight was initially carried out by the provincial chamber that grouped farmers and who were those most interested in the system. It was more of a professional association than something institutional or public. The hail control operation practiced in Spain consists of placing a series of generators on the ground that all emit at the same time. They have to be, in quotes, large surfaces. That is, it's necessary to set up areas of at least 2,000, 3,000, 400,000 square kilometers, because otherwise the system doesn't work well, clarifies José Luis Sánchez. And then, from the ground and at certain points that have to be studied beforehand, systems are placed that launch silver iodide nuclei into the atmosphere, says the professor from the University of León. In Madrid, they do not use the modernized generators of Aragon. They use Desens generators, named after their designer Jean Desens, a French physicist. Americas in plural. In some provinces of Argentina, cloud seeding with silver iodide is used to prevent hail from the falling. In the province of Mendoza, since the year 2005, the provincial government has been in charge of hail control. Scientific experiments have been carried out to determine the effectiveness of the system, which have indicated a 25% reduction in hail fall. However, in order to have definitive figures, studies must continue, since several years of measurements are necessary to obtain definitive figures. In Chile, a cloud seeding program has been carried out since the year 2000 in the Cachapoal River basin or in the O'Higgins region. Various statistical studies carried out by the Chilean government, universities and experts in the area have revealed increases of between 10 and 21%. Planting projects have also been carried out in the Valparaiso region with positive results. In Venezuela, in 2010, the country faced an intense drought caused by the El Niño phenomenon, which resulted in forest fires, damage to crops, and other damages to nature and human life. The government applied cloud seeding to try to achieve the recovery of crops in the country and prevent fires in areas close to cities and towns. Weather manipulation. Cloud seeding has been the focus of many theories based on the belief that governments manipulate the weather to control various conditions such as global warming, populations, military weapons testing, public health, and flooding. The chemtrails or toxic chemtrail conspiracy theory posits the belief that long-lasting condensation trails are chemtrails consisting of chemical or biological agents left in the sky by high-flight aircraft, sprayed for nefarious purposes and disclosed to the general public. They claim that while normal contrails dissipate relatively quickly, persistent contrails must contain added substances. They speculate the purpose of releasing chemicals into the atmosphere may be solar radiation reduction, weather modification, psychological manipulation, human population control, biological or chemical warfare, or testing of biological or chemical agents on a population, and that the trails are causing respiratory illness and other health problems. Various versions of the chemtrail conspiracy have been propagated through the internet and radio programs. There are websites dedicated onto this topic because it fits well with the deep suspicion about the intentions of every government. Believers generally hold that chemtrails are evidence of a worldwide conspiracy. They claim various goals, including profit. For example, manipulating future prices, or making people sick to benefit pharmaceutical companies, etc. Population control or weapons testing, the use of weather as a weapon, or the testing of biological weapons. One such idea is that clouds are being seeded with electrically conductive materials as part of a massive electromagnetic superweapons program based on the high-frequency active auroral research program, HARP. Some believers in chemtrails adopted notions of Wilhelm Reich, who devised a cloudbuster device out of pipes. Reich claimed that this device would influence the weather and remove harmful energy from the atmosphere. Some chemtrail believers have built cloud chasers filled with crystals and metal fillings, which they point at the sky in an attempt to clear it of chemtrails. Legal action. In the year 2001, in response to constituent petitions, U.S. Congressman Dennis Kucinich introduced H.R. 2977, the Space Conservation Act of this year, which would have permanently banned the placement of weapons in space, listing chemtrails as one of the exotic weapons to be banned. Advocates have interpreted this explicit reference to chemtrails as an official government acknowledgement of their existence. Skeptics point out that the bill in question also mentions extraterrestrial weapons and environmental, climatic, or tectonic weapons. The bill received an unfavorable evaluation from the department and died in committee, with no mention of chemtrails appearing in the text of any of Kucinich's 3 subsequent failed attempts to enact a Space Preservation Act. In the year 2003, in response to a petition from Canadian citizens concerned that chemicals used in aerial spraying were adversely affecting the health of Canadians, the head of government responded by stating that there is no substantiated evidence, scientific or otherwise, to support the allegation of high-altitude spraying in Canadian airspace. In the United Kingdom, in the year 2005, Elliot Morley, Secretary of State at the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, was asked by David Drew, Labour MP for Stroud, what research has the department done of the polluting effects of aircraft chemtrails, and replied that the department is not investigating aircraft chemtrails, as they have no scientifically recognized phenomenon, and that work was being done to understand how condensation trails are formed and what effects they have on the atmosphere. Short news. Supreme Court rejects 2 Sidney Powell lawsuits challenging Wisconsin-Arizona polls. The Supreme Court on Monday formally rejected 2 of Sidney Powell's lawsuits challenging the result of the November 3rd election. The court offered no comment on Monday's dismissal of the lawsuits. One lawsuit was filed in Wisconsin and the other one in Arizona. The petitions for writs are denied, the court said. Three names disappear from Khashoggi murder report. Shortly after the US intelligence released its report Friday on those allegedly responsible for the death of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, the document was withdrawn without explanation and replaced by another one that didn't include the names of three alleged accomplices mentioned in the previous version, CNN reports. Operational mistake crashed Fed payment system. The nation's financial system ground to halt the other day after the Federal Reserve's payments platform suffered more than 3-hour outage. Used to execute more than $3 billion in daily transactions, the system experienced an operational mistake that left banks and other financial institutions with no way to transact paychecks, tax refunds, or bill payments. The Bitcoin has shown a growth this Monday, trading above $49,200 after Citi published a report in which it predicted that the digital currency could become the preferred currency for international trade. Health. White House works with big tech to suppress the so-called misinformation on inoculations. The White House has approached big tech moguls, including Facebook, Twitter, and Google, in an attempt to stop the spread of so-called misinformation about inoculation, according to a recent Reuters report. Google fires artificial intelligence ethics unit founder and co-head. Google fired Margaret Mitchell, founder and co-head of its artificial intelligence ethics unit, on the grounds that she allegedly violated the company's code of conduct. Switzerland bans AstraZeneca vaccine until proven safe. France, Germany, Italy, Sweden, and Poland has advised against use for people of a certain age. Europe wants an inoculation passport before the summer. The European Digital Inoculation Passport, an instrument designed to facilitate travel for work or tourism within the continent, could be ready by the summer. The European Commission wants to lay the groundwork for the project this month. European leaders proposed last week that the so-called Green Pass should be ready in 3 months. France and Germany think that such a project is premature and fear that it would open the door to a two-tier society with inoculated people living without restrictions and the other one people subject to limitations. Planet obsolescence. Europeans get the right to repair electrical goods. Companies selling fridges, washing machines, hair dryers, or televisions in the European Union will have to ensure that their appliances can be repaired for 10 years to help reduce the huge pile of electronic waste that piles up every year on the continent. The right to repair, as it's something called, comes into effect in the 27-nation bloc. It's in part a broader effort to reduce the ecological footprint of manufactured objects by making them more durable and energy efficient. Sarkozy, first former French president, sentenced to prison. Nicolas Sarkozy became on Monday the first former French president, to be sentenced to a firm prison sentence, and although he will not go to jail, his political horizon is darkening. The Paris Correctional Court has tried him for corruption and influence peddling committed in 2014, imposed him a sentence of 3 years in prison, 2 of them extended for compliance, and the third and a house arrest. Spain. Spain could produce rare earths. Spain is one, again, being considered as possible producer of these raw materials, since the country is home to mineral deposits in various parts of its geography, in which some of these 17 elements abound, such as cerium, lanthanum, of praseodymium, often grouped together in minerals such as monatis, coveted for some of their industrial applications. The most promising deposit in this sense is underwater. It is located in the Canary Island archipelago south of the island of El Hierro at a depth of about 1,000 meters. Experts estimate that, due to the volcanic geology of the area, there could be some 2 million tons of rare metals there, enough to supply the entire world demand for 10 years. Another deposit is located in Galicia, specifically on Mount Galiñeiro. So far, no exploitation project has been presented, although the South African investment group Umbombo Capital managed to obtain a 3-year permit at the end of 2012 to examine the mining potential of rare earths in the area and determine the possibility of extracting these elements. Somewhat more entrepreneurial optimism was shown by the company Quantum Minería in the other large rare earth deposit in the Iberian Peninsula, that of Matamulas in Campo de Montiel, Ciudad Real. The judge indicts Rato for alleged corruption, money laundering, and tax evasion. The head of the 31st Court of Instruction of Madrid was indeed the former vice-president of a government, Rodrigo Rato, and 16 other individuals and legal entities for possible crimes of corruption in business, money laundering, and alleged tax evasion. Cyber warfare. Cyberwar is imminent and will affect ordinary citizens, says CEO of company that discovered SolarWinds hack. Cybersecurity firm FireEye has warned Americans that they will be the target of the next cyber attack, whether they know it or not. Disrupted supply chains and mobile networks chaos and collapse will follow. The next conflict where the gloves come off in cyber, the citizen will be dragged into it, whether they want to be or not. People don't even know all the things they depend on. All of a sudden, the supply chain starts to break down because these computers don't work. Japan creates a ministry of loneliness, of solitude. In February, Japan announced the creation of a ministry of solitude in response to an increase in suicides in the country, as a result of isolation policies and job losses caused by the health crisis. Although it is a worldwide phenomenon, it particularly affected this country whose rate was already high. Why are we obsessed with the music of our youth? People tend to be extremely nostalgic about the music they listened to when they were young. If you were a teenager in the 70s, you probably loved Queen, Stevie Wonder, or ABBA. And if you were young in the 90s, I'm sure Wannabe by the Spice Girls probably still gets out of the dance floor. Music seems to be particularly associated with positive emotional memories and socialization, which makes it important, especially now, in the context of the health crisis, because it helps to improve our mood. Texas Satanic Temple files lawsuit demanding religious light to sacrifice babies through abortions. That is very sad. Leaders in charge of the Satanic Temple in Texas are suing the Lone Star State for not allowing them to perform abortions on demand, which they claim it's their religious right. Texas informed consent laws, this Satanist claim, are a violation of religious freedom because part of worshipping Satan would mean aborting human babies as a sacrament, similar to how Christians take communion or get baptized. In my opinion, some comparisons are odious. March energy. Don Carlos from Marbella reports in a video that Putin said the other day that the New World Order could be sunk, that G-Bay would be an actor, that the army is in charge of the situation, that the QFS would be fully active since last Wednesday, that the quantum boarding system would already be ready, that everything would go through military courts because civilian courts might be corrupt, and that the sound of freedom would be spread throughout the truth seekers. Much energy according to Arcturian Council 9D. The desire for greater unity has been born out of the division that all of you have experienced in one way or another. And the union will occur because the energies that are already beginning to emerge as March begins, and we move closer and closer to the spring equinox. You are all beginning to experience less and less of the distortions that have plagued humankind for far too long. Your energy fields are already beginning to operate as the beautiful filters they were always meant to be. Many human beings are already experiencing a clarity that they have not known within themselves for quite some time. You have now been given the power to feel clearly what is happening inside and outside of yourselves, and more of you can see the futility of being divided and arguing about who wears a white hat and who wears a black hat. You have the ability to take back your power, to have more faith in yourselves, in your ability to come together, and now it's the time. Now is the time to put down your torches and your pitchforks and come together as one human species, united with the knowledge that you all have these deep connections that go back many lifetimes, and in most cases go back even further than the first lifetimes you experienced on planet Earth. You are a unified collective, but most people just don't know it yet. And we see that beginning with tremendous energy download that is coming for the month of March. Everything is about to change. Thanks a lot, dear friend, and be happy. Thank you.